So you've spent your entire life wondering why some people have, as we like to say, class and others don't, regardless of which of the two has the most money. Indeed, someone can have a very large bank account and overcompensate for it, as if they were poor. These are the oft-called new money behaviours. Conversely, someone can have less money in the bank than our nouveau riche friend, and carry themselves with a much higher level of dignity, restraint and refinement than their finances suggest. Those are most commonly known as old money behaviours. As the writer George Orwell himself noted, economically, no doubt, there are only two classes, the rich and the poor, but socially there is a whole hierarchy of classes, and the manners and traditions learned by each class in childhood generally persist from birth to death. It is very difficult to escape, culturally, from the class into which you have been born. Therefore, in today's video, we'll provide you with 5 secret conversation signs that nobody tells you about that indicate whether somebody has old money behaviour or new money behaviour. Many of these signs will be subtle, and you may feel even some light bulbs go off in your head as you look back at your life and we discuss these topics. For as the author Paul Fussell said in his iconic work that inspired this video, Class, a guide through the American status system, when you look at a person you don't see Roman Catholic or liberal. You see hand-painted necktie or crappy polyester shirt. You hear parameters or in regards to. Thus, let us begin with our first subtle sign, how one reacts when social class itself is brought up. Individuals' reactions to discussions about social class can reveal much about their own perceived position within the social hierarchy. The emotions evoked by the topic of status may range from annoyance to anxiety or even indifference, depending on one's social class. Middle-class individuals, or those who fall into the new money category, often feel anxious when social class is discussed, as they are acutely aware of their position and may be concerned about maintaining their newfound status. This heightened sensitivity to social class may be attributed to their recent ascent and the desire to solidify their standing. A prime example of this is Rose's mother in the 1997 film Titanic. Throughout the film, she is portrayed as a woman concerned about her family's dwindling fortune due to mounting debts. She views Rose's marriage to Cal Hockley, legendarily played by Billy Zane, as an opportunity to secure their place among the elite. When Leonardo DiCaprio's Jack Dawson, a character of a lower social standing, enters the picture, Rose's mother becomes agitated. She perceives any threat to her daughter's advantageous marriage as the film says, a bug that must be squashed. This is most evident in the dinner scene when Jack shares his life story to a table of old money multimillionaires. As Dawson speaks, Rose's mother looks at him with fear and disgust, angrily asking if he really finds such a lifestyle appealing. In contrast, the higher rungs of society in the film are much less anxious about their social standing. This is exemplified by the reaction of the upper-class characters, such as John Jacob Astor IV and Archibald Gracie, to Jack Dawson at the same dinner table. They cheerfully greet Jack, inquire about his life, and even support his speech about making one's own luck. Working-class individuals, on the other hand, accepting of the fact they are unlikely to reach the upper crusts, often view the entire concept of social hierarchies as a joke, and find the class anxiety of the middle class amusing. Interestingly, in this, they might have more in common with the highest echelons of society than the middle classes with regard to their lack of concern about social class. An excellent example of this is the career of Bill Burr, who, while having grown up firmly in the middle class in the suburbs of Boston, has made a career out of lampooning both the upper classes and new money global elite, positioning himself as a voice of the working classes of America. Both groups, old money and the lower rungs of the working class, spend little to no time worrying about their position in the social hierarchy, as their status is relatively fixed and secure. Additionally, when discussing social class, an individual's perception of the factors that contribute to it can reveal much about their own social standing. Lower-class individuals often believe that class is determined primarily by wealth, while middle-class or new money individuals acknowledge the role of money but also emphasize the importance of education and occupation. As we'll show in a minute in secret number 3, this second part is why the constant focus on college, education and degrees is strongly correlated with middle-class behaviour. In contrast, upper-class or old money individuals tend to focus on aspects such as taste, values, ideas, style, and behaviour as the true indicators of social class, dismissing the importance of money, occupation, or education. For instance, when President John F. Kennedy first saw Richard Nixon on television, he is said to have turned to his friends and said aloud, "This guy has no class." Kennedy was not referring to Nixon's financial status. He was talking about a set of status-anxious attitudes and behaviours that the working-class raised Nixon exhibited as opposed to the son of massive generational wealth that Kennedy was. Thus, old money individuals can be quite relaxed and unself-conscious, as they do not worry about choosing the right status symbols. They feel free to express themselves without the fear of shame, which is predominantly a feeling experienced by the middle class or new money individuals. However, there is a subtle art to self-expression that is exhibited by old money individuals, so subtle in fact that it can even extend to paying and receiving of compliments. In this realm, the middle class and old money upper class exhibit distinct differences in social behaviour. The middle class often engages in the exchange of compliments as they seek reassurance and validation. However, the old money upper class is more private, understated, and generally averse to showiness, including the showy behaviour of paying and receiving verbal compliments. The new money anxiety around compliments is excellently exhibited by the character Cousin Greg on the television series Succession, who constantly displays an awkward demeanour in conversations when trying to pay compliments or when he's attempting to fish for compliments. Greg's lack of ease in such social situations clearly demonstrates his struggle with understanding the subtleties of old money etiquette and expectations. For the old money upper class, there is an inherent understanding of one's value, making compliments unnecessary. There's an old story that demonstrates this, that tells of a British aristocrat who reacted with outrage when an artistic young guest praised his fine set of Heffelwhite chairs. The aristocrat had the guest promptly removed, citing the damned cheek of the fellow for actually praising his belongings out loud. Instead of offering compliments, members of the upper class may demonstrate their approval through nuanced gestures or quiet support. For instance, they might extend an invitation to an exclusive event or discreetly offer assistance in a time of need. Such actions reflect their understanding that true appreciation and respect can be conveyed without resorting to overt flattery. For example, when dining among the highest rungs of society, it is often considered uncouth to overtly praise the food. The hostess is expected to serve only the finest fare, rendering compliments superfluous. Furthermore, since the hostess is unlikely to have cooked the meal herself, complimenting the food would be misplaced. The old money upper class values discretion and subtlety in social interactions. They eschew grand gestures or ostentatious displays of wealth, believing that such behaviour is crass and distasteful. This preference for understatement also extends to their communication style, where they prioritise modesty and reserve over effusive praise. And of course, quite naturally, that same penchant for understatement would extend to one of the most consequential lines of demarcation in the American social system: education. In a society without a hereditary class system or titles conferred by royalty, Americans have had to rely heavily on their college and university hierarchy for snobbery and status. With limited options for prestige, even fairly undistinguished colleges are revered, and institutions often try to elevate their status by associating with the world of academia. Universities and colleges have managed to remain relatively immune to criticism, contributing to a sense of prestige and respect. However, this reverence for the higher education system has led to a class sensitivity regarding where individuals attended college. Constantly name-dropping one's college or even admitting where one went to college can be seen as a middle-class or new money effort to assert status within this hierarchy. In fact, it is quite common to hear old money graduates of Harvard to simply say they went to college in Massachusetts, or at most Boston, rather than the more overt in Cambridge, Massachusetts, or of course saying the actual name Harvard. It is important to recognise that the significance placed on college discussions and rankings is a reflection of the American quest for status and respectability, particularly among the middle class or new money individuals. The sensitivity surrounding college reputation and the compulsion to name-drop or reveal one's alma mater is indicative of a preoccupation with asserting one's position within the ever-changing landscape of social standing. In contrast, old money elites may place less emphasis on these distinctions, as their social standing is often more secure and less dependent on the perceived prestige of their educational background. And when discussing wealth and spending habits, the differences between old money and new money individuals become particularly evident during actual conversations. New money individuals often feel compelled to showcase their financial success through conversations and visible markers of wealth. For instance, they might frequently mention their latest purchases, expensive vacations, or luxurious lifestyle choices in an attempt to establish their elevated status. An example we could use would start with us imagining a new money individual at a dinner party, proudly announcing, "We just got back from a month-long European tour and stayed only at the most exclusive hotels. And of course, we had to upgrade to first class for the flight back. The regular seats just don't cut it for us anymore." Such statements are painfully cringy attempts to impress the listener and assert their financial success. In contrast, old money individuals typically adopt a more discreet and understated approach to wealth. They avoid overt displays of affluence and rarely discuss their financial status or spending habits in public. A recent dramatization of this that excellently exemplifies this sign is the recent Netflix series Ripley, based on the book The Talented Mr. Ripley by Patricia Highsmith. The character Dickie Greenleaf is extremely understated in his attire and speech, rarely even raising his voice, let alone mentioning his inherited wealth in polite company. Conversely, the main character Tom Ripley has a compulsive need to deck out his homes with loud and ostentatious displays of wealth, to the point that Dickie's loved ones notice instantly that Tom is not of their social background. This overarching theme of old money individuals being able to instantly tell if you're in the know is also exemplified in the way you network and interact at social events. The manner in which individuals network and establish social connections also reveals significant differences between old money and new money behaviours. Of course, new money individuals often engage in aggressive, almost awkward-level networking, seeking to expand their social circles and leverage relationships to enhance their status and opportunities. A prime example of this can be seen in the movie The Social Network, where Mark Zuckerberg's character relentlessly pursues connections with the final clubs at Harvard. He yearns for the exclusivity and prestige these clubs offer, believing they are key to his social and professional success. And his intense focus on gaining entry is underscored by his eagerness to attend every event and meet every influential member, reflecting a clear new money ambition to climb the social ladder quickly. In stark contrast, old money individuals typically have well-established, long-standing social networks that span generations. Their approach to networking is more organic and relaxed, as they rely on family connections, old friendships, and inherited social circles. Consider the Winklevoss twins, also depicted in The Social Network. Unlike Zuckerberg, their access to the final clubs is a given, a quiet part of their heritage. They don't need to aggressively seek out new relationships because their family's long-standing position and reputation have already cemented their place within these exclusive circles. Their networking is subtle, often happening behind closed doors, and they don't broadcast their affiliations or efforts to make new connections. And now I'd love to hear your thoughts. Can you think of any examples we mentioned in this video from your own life where you witnessed old money versus new money behaviour? You can respond with your own stories and anecdotes below. And thank you for joining me here today.